clap, the distinct, melodious, and resonant sounds of the clarinet begin to fill the air, creating a rich, captivating, and truly immersive auditory experience that is both clear and profoundly engaging, allowing the listener to fully appreciate its nuances and beautiful tones. Hi, this is Andrzej, and I'm a cruiser rider. Deep down, I always was one, though I didn't know it until a few years ago. I bet many of you are cruiser riders too, and one day you come to realize it. The problem is there aren't many cruisers left on the market anymore. Because there was Harley, there was Japanese competition, and those Japanese brands, it's like they completely pulled out of it. And other manufacturers aren't really eager to get into cruisers either. But there's Indian after all, there always was. Sometimes it was kind of gone for a while, more gone than present. But some years ago, I don't know exactly when the Indian brand was bought by Polaris, so still American capital. And finally, I can say that this is the first truly successful revival of the Indian brand, because many have tried, many have failed, but this looks like it's here to stay for good. And here it is, the Indian Bobber 20, not Indian Scout Bobber 20. You should know that this is a test well, not exactly a test. This is a sponsored video, and I received a lovely email with a brief about what's in this motorcycle, and I even printed it out so I could dramatically throw it away. Because we are the world of motorcycles, and even if the material is sponsored, it can be dishonest. What I liked about this brief was that it strongly emphasized that this is the Indian brand, a brand from Springfield that was established in 1901, 2 years before Harley Davidson. I think it's very important that we were first before the others. It's actually kind of funny. That's a topic for another video, who was really first, because the truth is everyone was first, since so many brands were being created at the same time back then, at the beginning of the 20th century, that it's impossible to say which motorcycle manufacturer was truly the first. Because Triumph claims it, Husqvarna claims it, Indian claims it, and Harley claims it too. Let's get back to the motorcycle. The motorcycle is thoroughly American, which I immediately like. What does it mean that it's American? It means it's made of metal. Here it's metal, here it's metal, here it's metal everywhere. Well, this part is plastic. The motorcycle is just as it should be for people who are interested, I don't know. Whether it's the Harley Davidson brand or just cruisers in general, it's a solidly built, rugged, powerful machine. And I even joked here that if a cruiser type motorcycle doesn't rust somewhere, it means it's some kind of cheap Chinese, Japanese knockoff, in the cruiser category. So here you've got it, just right rust is coming out nicely, just as you'd expect from an American motorcycle. You just need to screw something in, and that's it. What is Indian like? Indian, since we're already circling around the Harley Davidson brand, I actually thought that this video could be about what makes Indian better, for example, than the competition. And the most important thing is that Indian is a modern motorcycle. It's not like it's a machine that sure has a tradition going back several decades, even 100 years, but at the same time it's just a reheated cutlet. This motorcycle, the name itself, has a 100-year history, but because there was that gap in the middle, when the brand didn't exist, they had to build the motorcycle completely from scratch. And that's a good thing, because it means we have a motorcycle that is simply a machine fit for the 21st century. The frame here is made of aluminum, bolted together from separate components. The engine was designed by people who already had computers, not just pencils and other old measuring tools. The same goes for the braking system, the suspension, everything is really very, very well thought out. As a result, we have a motorcycle with a very, very feisty temperament. Why do cruisers resonate with me? Because as I get older and gain more experience, for example, on the racetrack, I want to ride more calmly on the streets. And that's exactly how you ride cruisers. You shift gas pipe, and everything's just fine. And you can ride this motorcycle like that up until the moment you twist the throttle for the first time. Once you twist the throttle for the first time, it turns out this isn't such a gentle little cruiser. It just goes. I really like that the speedometer is clearly marked up to 120 kilometers per hour. And then the speed from 120 to 200 is kind of glossed over by the scale. And the needle really moves very quickly there. Once today, I really opened it up on the road with this motorcycle, and I thought to myself, oh damn, I probably don't want to do that again because I liked it too much. What also held me back from twisting the throttle was this absurd exhaust system. It's just, guys, you really overdid it a bit. This is a aftermarket exhaust. It's a Remus brand exhaust. And sorry, but my ears hurt after today. I get it. I know there's a big group of people who ride cruisers who say it has to sound loud and thunderous. But hey, sorry, it's actually a bit exhausting. I can even demonstrate it. I'll show it quickly because it proves it's evidence that you could hear the explosions. Watch out! There's a park next door. People will stop what they're doing. What else? This sporty character, well, sporty, as the name suggests, a dynamic character. It manifests itself everywhere in the same way in the suspension, in the drivetrain, because it's belt-driven, just like most motorcycles in this class. But the difference lies in the clutch. This clutch is direct. If you pop it, it immediately connects the motorcycle and the rear wheel starts spinning. It doesn't matter whether it's in first gear or second gear. In second gear, it makes a bit more smoke. So I recommend it if you know how to do it. You can feel that this motorcycle is really compact. It's actually very stable in the corners. The only problem, as usual, is the ground clearance, because even when riding straight, I was checking how quickly it changes direction, and I was already scraping the foot pegs one after another. If it had a higher ground clearance, a bit taller suspension, it could really take corners fast, especially since these tires are super grippy. Besides that, a bit more ground clearance and, for example, a bit more suspension travel wouldn't hurt, because here, look, I'm measuring it professionally, and that's how much travel we have in the rear suspension. This means that thanks to this very nice looking single seat, all the bumps go straight into our lower back. So we really have to plan our line over rough terrain and be quick enough that if there's a rut or a hole, we have time to lift our butt a bit so we don't get jolted. I really don't understand how it's possible that with all this space here, look, why isn't there a little shock absorber, a spring, something? I mean, it would be so much, it would be elegant. It's the same with the brakes. They're very strong, more than enough, definitely strong enough for this class of motorcycle. And in terms of handling, they're also kind of masculine, let's call it that, even though that's not really popular these days. Rugged, strong, because you really have to press the lever quite hard, but when you do, you get a lot of braking power in return. You can see, look here, even the brake line is braided steel, so they're approaching this the way it should be done. ABS comes as standard. The most important thing is that there's no traction control. It could be useful because I rode in the rain, and coming out of a corner in the rain, where it was slip, 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 slip. So if someone doesn't know how to handle that, it could be tricky. I mean, you just have to be careful with the throttle. Let me give you some drive facts, just so everything's clear. The engine has a displacement of 1,133 cc, 2 cylinders of course, and under the throttle we have 100 horsepower and 97 Newton meters of torque. For an engine from the other American manufacturer to reach such numbers, it would have to have a displacement of 1,800 or 1,700 cc. They never actually state the horsepower, so with a reasonable displacement, we get a reasonable amount of horsepower. What kind of tricks can you do on this motorcycle? Well, you can be a bit of a rascal, First of all, you can dump the clutch when taking off from a stoplight. Secondly, it turns out it's quite willing to do all sorts of spins, stunts, and similar tricks. When you have a motorcycle like this, especially one that's this loud, you might want to be a bit of a troublemaker, not just sound like one, but actually get up to a little mischief from time to time. What I really like is finally this handlebar arm. That's the hallmark of this model, as they say, the anniversary edition for the 100th anniversary. This high handlebar, because when I used to ride the bobber, it was always a cool motorcycle. I liked it, but with that handlebar, it just wasn't for me. And I kept saying that an ape hanger had to be put on, and luckily, here it is. So this handlebar is great, and if we want to do different things, we just stand up on the foot pegs. It's in a nice spot. Everything's just right. What can I poke fun at? As usual, traditionally with the Indian brand, there's the constant signing Indian, 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 Indian. Why? It's obvious that it's an Indian. There's a big clear Indian sign here, and besides there's a guy with feathers on his head, so you can pretty much guess. To sum up, this motorcycle is truly, truly, truly solid and exceptionally well built. It represents the perfect and harmonious hybrid of a classic, timeless cruiser aesthetic and modern, cutting-edge technology and performance. So it's as if that aforementioned, much discussed Harley collided with Japanese cruiser motorcycles, and this kind of machine was created. I think it's really worth taking it for a ride. I'm not kidding you, it's really worth taking it for a spin, because then you'll feel it for yourself. There are showrooms, there are test bikes, so go ahead and maybe you'll like it. It might turn out that you're ready for a cruiser too. Just, for God's sake, the stock exhaust is good enough. Seriously, seriously. So what about the price? Since this is sponsored content, I have to mention the price because there's a promotion. Oh my gosh, I'm a hopeless YouTuber, but there's a 4,000 discount. There you go. How much was it? It cost 67, so minus 4, that's 63,000 and change. Just don't spend those 4,000 on that loud exhaust. I'm begging you, really. Besides, honestly, seriously, what does it matter if the video is sponsored when the motorcycle is actually worth recommending? Those are the kinds of videos I can make, but these test briefs, I give them a thumbs up, and I think I'll start questioning various tests on YouTube that I've started watching, and in other topics too. No, I probably shouldn't say that. Well, we'll see anyway. All right, let's go. What else is there? Because you can mess around in two ways. You can either mess around the way I kind of did, which I don't recommend because it's dangerous, or you can mess around in other ways, because on this motorcycle, we look a bit intimidating. We ride like this, we're kind of like gangsters. So I came up with an idea, and I don't know if I won't end up in jail. I'm going to ride the Indian to the Great Chief. We will just have to wait and see what happens. Take care.